Tumblers coaches, this is the training video for spring 2025 weeks 9 and 10. I'm panning across the floor right now so you can see how I chose to set it up. For this station with the tramp board and the cheese mat is labeled donkey kicks. For age 5-6, they should have their feet on the trampoline, hands on the cheese mat, and try to connect 5 donkey kicks. For 7-8, what we want to aim for is that they could connect 5 and do a forward roll after. And then for 9-10, we want them to still be doing that forward roll, but if you're able to have a coach show reaching your feet up to a handstand before a forward roll, you should have somebody show that. You might have some 5-6s who could do a forward roll too, but most probably will not with the height and their age and abilities. And notice I put a red arrow here on the floor next to it so that you could say, after you're done, find the red arrow and go back to wait on the orange dot. This is also somewhere where a lot of kids are going to try to wait in line right here, and then they might get kicked under the chin if they walk forwards too quick. So try to give a marker and ask them to wait on it. The next station over is this run to pop up for age 5 and 6, where they're trying to land up on their feet. And then for 7-8 is either a pop up, a forward roll to flat back, or a handstand flat back. And then for 9-10, we want to try to show the handstand flat back and see if they're able to do it. Now, truthfully, all levels should be practicing a pop up, but we only have so many minutes, and so I want to let the 9-11s move to that handstand flat back that they've been working on throughout the session. But anyone could work for any kid, so feel free to upgrade or downgrade kids as they need to be learning, and then just try to help them understand that there's value in all of those things. And I would say the least valuable one is the forward roll to flat back. In a perfect world, we'd want them to learn a great pop-up and a great handstand flat back, and the forward roll is kind of irrelevant to be able to do off the springboard because that's not the vault we're trying to do. So if you could have them go right from pop-up to handstand flat back, great. But it's just not a reality for all kids, so that can be a way for them to have fun and be trying something new. And then again, I put a red arrow here so that you can say, find the red arrow and walk back to the purple dot, so that it's really easy to give them instructions. Once they start flopping off mats over here, it can get a little bit crazy. So make sure that you give them clear instructions. Also note that these 2 mats on the bottom will not be there next week. So you do want that soft top resi down a little bit lower. Then over here on the laser beam, everybody is working on a leap over the beanbag. I'll show a separate video for how to give instructions on that and help them achieve that. But the overall idea is landing on 1 foot. And so I thought giving them the extra challenge of a skill that's called a leap, that's a gymnastic skill, and land on 1 foot could be a chance for them to see value rather than just jumping on 1 foot. Then this panel mat for age 7 and 8 is going to remain bridge kickover. And then for 9-11 is going to be a round off. So I would have them start their round off with 2 feet on top of the panel mat, with their arms vertical or reaching up to the sky or in their start position. Then put their hands on the panel mat and round off down off of it. And then we want to teach them what a rebound is, where they're trying to bounce on the floor and reach for the sky, and then add the word stop after it. So if you say rebound, they're probably going to move backwards, lift 1 knee up in the air. Make sure the whole skill's name is included: round off, rebound, stop, and that they're trying for that. One thing that I think isn't always obvious to point out is tell them to watch their feet land on the floor. Sometimes they lift their chin up too quick and look up to the wall too quick, and that can kind of make them crumble when they land, when they're a new round offer. So make sure they can see their feet hit the carpet, and then when they jump, they should look up at the wall. This mat is not being used for the 5-6 crew, and this is how they're going to work on their cartwheel over here. So I will have a separate video for how this could look for your age 5-6s. Over here on the high beam on the floor side circuit is stopping at the shoelaces. This time for the age 5 and 6, the goal is to jump over the shoelace. And then for age 7 and up is to try to tuck jump at each shoelace. So with their tuck jump, the two things I would focus on the most are trying to get their feet as far away from the beam as possible. So a lot of times they just kind of bend their legs underneath them. And the whole idea is that we want their knees to come up in front of them and trying to get far away from the beam. The next thing they'll usually do is turn their feet sideways. So they'll start facing forwards and then kind of take a nervous turn sideways. And so trying to get their feet lined up and staying facing forwards are the two things that I would focus on there. Over here, all the age groups are using this beam. For 5-6s, we're trying bunny hop. For 7-8s, we're trying long jump. And for 9 and ups, we're doing lunge walk. Now with both bunny hop and long jump, they're both valuable and everybody wants to be able to do them. But I think 5-6s is better to work on these small jumps and stay standing up confident and be vertical and looking out at the end of the beam and trying to be on their tiptoes. And then you should ask them to try it with both feet in front. So one time do it with your favorite foot in front, one time do it with your other foot in front, if they're confident enough to try that. And then for the 7-8s, when they're doing long jump, they're a little bit more bold, they're a little older, so we want to see if they can get farther on each jump. You can let them swing their arms when they do that, and also have them try once with their right foot in front, once with their left foot in front. And then for the 9 to 11s, we're kind of sneaking in a little bit of a strength station, but they also don't realize how different it can be to be on a beam and then let your knee kind of dip down that low. So you're going to need to make sure that their feet go far enough apart from each other that their back knee can go all the way down. And usually with older kids, or what you've done in gymnastics, we've said, don't rest your knee on the ground, don't set it all the way down. But I would maybe encourage them to, because otherwise they might not actually touch it all the way down to the beam. And just think about, if you're doing that, what might help you, like keeping your eyes on the beam, looking out at the end of the beam, keeping your chest straight up and down, and keeping your arms matching each other might all be things that would help them not fall off during that. This wall bar is only being used for the age 5-6 group, and that's where they're finally getting the chance to practice their wall walk pullover. So the other ages have got to do lots of pullovers, but the 5-6s have not tried it yet. So this is where they want to be doing that. I think something we need to be telling them that isn't always obvious is that when they start, they have to keep their arms bent. So when they're standing back here and their hands go on the bar, then you should say, put your chin by the bar. And then as they start to walk up, a lot of kids want to let their arms hang down low and go all the way straight like a bat hang. And that's where we want to say to keep their chin above the bar as long as they can, and then keep their arms bent as they're walking up. Otherwise, their legs won't go up high enough to get over the bar. They'll get stuck kind of running into the bar. The other thing is when they go to sit up, a lot of them are going to let go and try to touch the wall and push themselves up. And we need to say, don't let go of the bar. They'll also flip their hands around because they're trying to get their hands on top of the bar. And remember, that's where we need to be working on teaching them to scooch their hands. And it's okay for them to, after they're hanging here and stuck, to let their feet go back to the wall and walk back down if they can't stand up. So obviously if you can be there standing and spotting them, you would push your hand, down on the back of their legs and then help them sit up. But then you could teach them how to forward roll back off. So if you walked away, they could keep working on it without sitting up. And you really do want to give all those safety instructions. I just watched a kid last week let go of the bar and literally flat back under the bar at Big Lake when I was coaching. So it really does happen. So make sure that you're giving them those instructions. Then these two stations here, the floor bar and the purple bar, are a dual station, meaning they're doing both of them at the same time or alternating during the time that they're there. We will not need this foamy anymore, so you can remove that if it's still there. And for the 5-6, they're practicing a spider hang or a straddle hang on the bar. And then over here, they're going to start in a push-up shape with their hands on the bar and their feet on the mat. And then they're going to jump and put their feet on the bar and then fall to their butt that way. So it's like the beginning of a soul circle dismount. So we're kind of teaching them the different pieces of that and how to hang on with their hands in the middle and their feet on the outside. The 7-8s are doing those items as well, but on this one, when they're in their straddle hang, they're going to gently push their partners back to swing 3 times. Now we're really gonna have to tell them that it's gentle and tiny because they really could slip off. But I think that could start to get them the feel of what it would be like to swing down. And I think they'll think it's really fun. Now, this is where the age 9 to 11 kids are going to work on their soul circle dismount instead of over on the purple bar. So they're going to do their spider hang or their straddle hang on the bar. And then the coach is going to help them swing 3 times and then kick off the bar to a flat back. And I'll have a separate video for you of how to do that. And then they have a station over here where they're going to do a kick to handstand fall to their tummy on that station. And for them, those are 2 separate stations. Now, the idea is they're stand here, hands go on the floor bar, they kick up and fall flat. A way you could have them start is to do a push-up shape first with their hands already on the bar and then jump to their tummy to get used to what that feels like. They could do the other station where they jump to their feet to the bar if they are uncomfortable handstanding, or you could always move the bar and just have them put their hands on the 8-inch mat instead. I will say if you have them not use the floor bar, do move it off to the side, because if they kick to a handstand right here and go over, they will land on the floor bar. So make sure if they do that modification that they move that out of the way, or that they put their hands on the other side of the 8-inch mat so that they don't flop onto their backs on that. Now this station is 7-8 only, and this is where they're gonna practice their glide swing. And we wanna make sure that their feet start on the front of the air barrel like Allie did here. Sometimes they start laying with their body like all the way on the air barrel already, and then they can't really move front to back. And then note how she climbed up super careful. So her hands were already on the bar. She put her feet on the air barrel, and then she took her feet all the way off before she climbed down. Just don't let them go too fast and crazy on that one. Then this station is remaining the exact same for ages 9 to 11. And then for ages 5 to 6 and 7 to 8, we're gonna hang and drop to stick again, but we're adding some tuck ups in. And remember, when they do a tuck up, what we wanna ask them to do is to lift their knees higher than their belly button. And if they can do that, I tell them to kiss their knees. So see if they can bring their knees all the way up to their nose, or give their knees a kiss, so that we're trying to kind of challenge them a little bit more. Some kids just simply won't be able to. They're not strong enough to, but the kids who can are gonna go, this is easy, this is easy. And then you wanna be getting them to where their knees are kind of up as high as their head, kind of like the beginning of a monkey flip. Don't let them go upside down that high, but that's what they wanna feel like, is they're pulling all the way up, so they're starting to rotate. So especially if a kid says it's easy, maybe go spot them on one so they know what it feels like to bring their knees all the way up. And then again, make sure that they're pointing their feet straight down at the ground before they let go. So when they're starting to do this, might make them start to swing front to back a little bit. And if their feet are behind their butt at all, so like if they let their legs swing down super fast so they end up in an arch and then they let go, they could land on their tummy from that height. I've seen it happen. It really, really could happen. So just make sure they're hanging all the way still and pointing their feet right down. And so you might need to stand near that one the first turn of each kid, or if you've got that bold, crazy kid who you know swings on the monkey bars all the time, be over there just to make sure they don't get out of control on that one.